What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy, MM2K of Cloud Dosage, Hard Knot Digital Culture, and MM2K Gaming back again with another episode of Cloud Meets Mainstream. This is where we talk about the different things that are happening in the cloud gaming space that is impacted heavily by mainstream gaming support. That support right now is trickling over little by little, but we talk about things here that'll help expedite that because, as we should all know, as much as we love cloud gaming here, its survival is based upon mainstream adaptation. You know what I'm saying? So the quicker, the more support it gets, the more stable it becomes, and the more likely it becomes a pillar of gaming, which we all want, right? We all want here for the most part. And if you're new here, we welcome you to this platform. I know this is something that a lot of people are curious about ever since the APK proceedings with Microsoft. They're like, well, what's so special about cloud gaming? Why is it so important? And a lot of you looked at Stadia as something that was just a pipe dream, but a lot of you never tried it. And then when we've tried it, we've tried it and we understood the promise of cloud gaming because of platforms like Stadia. And then, even after Stadia's, demise, we're starting to see the torch being carried by GFN. We had a great interview with Boosteroid earlier this week. Xbox is doing different things. So we're seeing a variety of different cloud platforms continue to upgrade, continue to provide more. And it just lets you know that even though Google felt a little bit wobbly about their offerings, which is up to debate on why they even did that. But even though Google felt wobbly, we still see some strong affirmation that these other cloud providers don't feel the same way. Like they're in this, as they say, 10 toes deep, right? They're not moving at all. So, that being said, it just makes me wonder why we're seeing certain things like we're seeing today, which is we're still seeing cloud platforms not being supported by developers and publishers. I don't understand it. I'm going to talk about the history of it. I'm going to talk about why, like maybe even 2 years ago, you could kind of understand it with certain platforms. You can kind of even understand it with certain platforms now. But for there to be an across the board, look, leave us alone type of attitude literally makes no sense. Not in how these cloud platforms are applied today, not with the lack of requirement that it takes from the developer or even the publisher, and just the growth that we're continuing to see. Like cloud gaming, again, it's not a major slice of gaming, but it continues to grow. So with all these promising signs, lack of intervention needed from the developers and publishers, the continued growth, the continued commitment, and look, just the realization that as long as it continues to grow, and as long as it continues to rival, and long as it continues to work towards rivaling the capabilities and surpassing the capabilities of native hardware, this is the future. Under those realms, why would a publisher, or a big publisher at that, continue to not support cloud gaming? It's astounding to me. We're going to talk about it. But before we do that, for those of you that are new or that have been around for a while, that are like, what the hell's happening, man? Where you been at? Let me just explain myself real quick. So we're working on some network stuff. We had a couple of changes, last minute changes within the last several weeks. If you guys don't know, what I also work on is I work on MM2K Gaming. That's another property that I work with as well, and I manage. MM2K Gaming is a completely different platform. It's like the polar opposite of what we do here in the demographic that we serve here. The demographic that we serve over there are those that are embedded in the console war in the business sense. I'm not talking about fanboyism. A lot of you guys blur the lines on the difference between fanboyism and console wars. Console war is an industry term. It's what spawned and what created E3. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out that. There's a wonderful article by GameIndustry.biz by Christopher Dring. Wonderful. It almost brought me to tears, man. I get nostalgic about this stuff. I almost brought my old my old gaming behind the tears. Just reading it and just having that nostalgia and remembering from back in that time, and trying to always work with my brother and people trying to prepare for what do you call it? For E3, and being so close to going one year. You know what I mean? So definitely read that. You'll hear top execs talk about the console war in its purest sense, not in its recalibrated meaning, not in its repurposed meaning, but basically it's just the measurement of the AAA genre defining console hardware and how they were doing against each other. You know what I'm saying? And we cover that because people have to make a choice. Everybody can't buy everything. And a large chunk of you, the reason why you're even listening to this is because even that choice of hardware was too steep for you, right? A lot of you just prefer the tech and the mobility around cloud gaming. A lot of you just like the convenience of cloud gaming because it rewards you a lot of time. It allows you to do more stuff with limited time that you have. But a lot of you as well are indulged because you couldn't afford a console. You couldn't afford to buy all this hardware and hard drives and download this, and you couldn't afford all that. You just needed to be able to pick up a controller and play. And outside that controller hardware, which you don't even need that now, you game off your phone. And when I say game, you can use your phone as a controller nowadays. It's gotten so crazy. But it wasn't just the convenience, it was the cost affordability that cloud gaming presents. I talk about a good friend of mine. What do we call him? We call him, I don't want to give out real names here. What did I call Big Sal? We call him Big Sal, my good friend Sal. Lived in another state, had kids that he was putting through college, had to travel interstate every day in order to go to work. Was taking care of his father-in-law. He was strapped for cash, right? But he was a big gamer. He would always intervene in my talks in gaming and stuff like that. And then me spending some personal time with him, he was humongous on games, right? When he told me a situation, man, I had some 360 sitting around at the time. This was during the 360 era, and I gave them to him. And I said, here you go. Gave him BioShock, I believe it was, Fallout 4, some other games. And, it brightened his day. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't afford to buy that box because of his situation. So cloud gaming it closes that gap for a lot of you that feel like that, right? Now here's the kicker. Even though it presents a lot of affordability to you guys, what has to be understood is that it always wasn't convenient for the developers. As much as we loved Stadia and loved everything that Stadia was about, it wasn't the easiest platform to develop for. And it required a lot with very little return. We got to be honest here. So that's 2019, 2020 we're talking about. And when you have the pandemic looming, when you're running light on resources and demand is growing and all this stuff is happening, and the best you can get from these platforms is 1 to 5% of the business where you would get it elsewhere. Your asking price in order for me to waste my time on this when I have other projects for other more prominent platforms that I got to work towards, and I'm struggling to do what I need to do for them. In order for you to pull resources from that, meaning that you hamper the output for the more prominent platforms, you need a lot of money. And the amount of money that you need just simply is not sustainable. Like, so for instance, when I look at a game like, let's say Dragon's Dogma, right? Dragon's Dogma launched with a lot of problems, but it was, well received, got a lot of critical acclaim, and it seems to be selling well. Let's just say if they wanted a copy out for Stadia. Well, the way that you had to build games for Stadia is that there had to be some individual development, like you were developing for a platform. So if I'm developing for this platform, what is my return? 1%? So I'm already have problems for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox, where 95% of the business is at. So you want me to develop for 5% of the business and pull resources that'll harm the other 95. You're going to have to give me a whole bunch of money, right? And I think that's where Stadia, that was Stadia's biggest Achilles heel, is that unlike GFN, unlike xCloud, even though Stadia, all around may have been the most convenient, balanced gameplay, most affordable, whatever the case may be, it couldn't get the games that people wanted to play, and it couldn't get them for that reason, right? So that was a problem in 2019, 2020 from the most, I guess you could arguably, the most prominent cloud gaming platform, 2019, 2020, maybe half of 2021. I know a lot of people look at monthly active users, but I don't think that's a good gauge as far as successfulness, because when you look at even GFN with their free tier, most of their engagements with their free tier, they're losing money off the free tier. They were losing an exuberant amount of money off the free tier. So that's not successful. I mean, yes, it's cool. People are engaging with it. It helps train your AI, your machine learning, but more than the positives, there are a lot of negatives. And that's why you saw in the advice of Ampere Group, the world's number one analyst, global analyst when it comes to games, they said, what, GeForce Now needs to bundle this, needs to do this, needs to do that. A couple of months later, GeForce Now it does exactly what Ampere Group had said publicly, right? It's not cheap to maintain these servers and the amount of energy that's being consumed in order to do so. There's laws in California that are trying to put a cap on that now as we speak. They're developing those laws, and they've passed some of them now as we speak. So cloud gaming at that time, the face of cloud gaming, wasn't always considered the most convenient because of Stadia. Stadia is no more. And in our interview with Boosteroid, something interesting was said. So they kind of laid out from within their opinion the biggest cloud platforms as far as usage globally. And number one is xCloud. That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because xCloud is tethered to a service that boasts 30 million users. Now, and not all 30 million users have cloud access, but I would suggest maybe 40% of those that 30 million. So what is that, like maybe 12 million? Let's do the math real quick. 30 times 0.12. No. I did that wrong. We did that wrong. It's 30 times 0.4. We said 40%. So yeah, I was right, around 12 million. So you already got a service that's tethered to 12 million people, whether they got access to Game Pass Ultimate for cloud gaming or not. I already got the services. It's an auxiliary function as part of the subscription. Why not? Let me give it a try and see how it works. Let's see how it works. Let's give it a try. So based off of that activity alone, it doesn't surprise me. But then you got to take into consideration that the biggest game in the world right now, which is Fortnite, Fortnite has a way for Apple users who were no longer allowed to play Fortnite natively. They can go and for free of charge, they can play Fortnite on xCloud. Free. Just go to xbox.com/play and boot up Fortnite via Xbox. And that's their solution from not being able to play Fortnite natively on iOS devices. As soon as that capability was released, it's like xCloud leapfrogged from being close to last place amongst the cloud platforms to one. That was like one of the biggest moves they could have done. That being said, a lot of people ask, well, what have they done with that? And we'll see in the future. We'll see how important all that data is. I mean, it could be very lucrative for them, because if I'm on Fortnite and I'm playing it via Xbox's xCloud and I buy V-Bucks, Xbox is getting 30% of that. So it could be very lucrative, for them on that front. But I think if we listen to what Sarah Bond had said several months ago, that they're losing money on xCloud. That's because of the business model. I think the most financially successful platform when it came to cloud gaming was Google Stadia, because they didn't do it via subscription service. They did it like a platform, like a complete platform. You know what I'm saying? And everything was attributed to Google Stadia. It wasn't I'm playing the Xbox version in the sky. It wasn't none of that. Or it wasn't, okay, you're just giving me a subscription, but I can't really attribute, how much of this subscription is based upon you wanting cloud access. So they're losing money on it. The same thing with GFN. GFN doesn't get a portion of third-party sales. They basically are just getting paid one way, and that is via your access to their servers. And same with Boosteroid and so forth. So because Stadia had a unique business model, I feel like it was more lucrative for them, but they were looking for it to be way more lucrative than what it was, and for them to get a lot more engagement. That is. Now, that being said, that was Stadia back then. Now in 2024, none of these platforms require a lot out of you in order for you to make your game available on their cloud platform. So with that being the case, the question looms: why in the hell don't we see support from publishers like why are we not seeing support from publishers like what do you call it? Warner Brothers. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. So yeah, I have a problem with Warner Brothers. Like, I went to go get Suicide Squad because it's free on the Epic Game Store. And I'm like, whoa, this is dope. I get to play Suicide Squad. And, you know, when it comes to GFN in particular, I was like, let me boot it up and let me play Suicide Squad on GFN. Because it's surely there. And I went there and it's not there. And I'm like, hold on. Suicide Squad isn't part of GFN? I was never really checking for the game, but now that I got a free copy via Epic Game Store, and Epic Game Store works handily with GFN, I was like, oh, okay, well, let me go and check. I just expected it to be there. And then I scratched my head and I thought, I said, holy shit, or holy crap. Excuse my French. xCloud, not xCloud, GFN doesn't have support from Warner Brothers. I said, whoa, they don't have support from Warner Brothers? And then I had to think. And then I looked for Harry Potter. And I've looked for other Warner Brothers games, and they're not there. I get it when you had to support Stadia. Totally get it. Excuse me. Dare I say, I even get it in some instances with xCloud, even though it sounds like xCloud is getting over that hurdle and game developers and publishers are no longer concerned about this. I don't know if xCloud is showing them something behind the scenes to where, like, don't worry, the quality is going to get better. But I can get this, why people were apprehensive about going to Stadia, because of the resources that were needed. I can get why people were apprehensive about xCloud, because even though there wasn't resources needed, the output of the game wasn't always the greatest. And if a mainstream game, people don't want their games looking a certain way. Period. They just don't want their games being shown in a certain light. There could be a bad screenshot that's floating on Twitter. Nobody's the wiser that, hey, this is the xCloud version. This is why it looks this way. And that can create a lot of reputational risk for a publisher or developer. And they don't want to have to be the one to say, oh, that's the xCloud version. You know what I mean? It really puts them in a fickle and in a bind, because they got a relationship with Xbox, and they would have to go out there and essentially degrade, oh, this only looks like this because it's xCloud, and xCloud is trash, right? In so many words. I can get that. Here's what I don't get. It's 2024. Services like GFN, Boosteroid, Shadow, whatever, they don't require these developers to do anything, really. All they need is their okay. Whenever something goes bad, 999 times out of 1,000, it's GFN that has to worry about it, and they don't even have to communicate with the publisher at all. They'll probably let the publisher know, hey, our game isn't available on the service, so in case you get some, just bounce them right to us. Just want to give you a heads up. That's probably it. In very few situations, there might be some collaboration on some stuff. But the way that these current cloud platforms or services work, they're carrying the bulk of resources that's needed in order to make these games even happen. And I'm looking at Warner Brothers games and they're not even opted in to GeForce Now. That makes no sense. Phil Eisler, VP of GeForce Now, said that we're seeing GeForce Now add millions of more gamers to these games across the board. Millions more. If I don't have a console powerful enough to play your game, or if I don't have a PC powerful enough to play your game, and at a nominal fee per month or every 6 months, if GeForce Now or Boosteroid or any of these other services gives me access to said game and they can make it look great, we know GeForce Now can do it. Boosteroid, we just did a great interview with them. They said that they're on the up and rise, and their 4K tier is coming to the States, so we'll be able to see stateside soon. But if I got all that going on, what in tarnation is the problem with you allowing your game to be playable on a cloud service? I don't understand it for the life of me. I don't like the attitude towards it. And I apologize to GeForce Now if they're still working and hammering something out with Warner Brothers. I'm basing this off of no knowledge. Nobody's passed me anything and told me about a status with Warner Brothers. I just know that as a gamer, not even a content creator, as a gamer, I go to a service where there is no resource needed from the developers in any intense sense, maybe a conversation between contacts. And I see a slew, I see the publisher's entire lineup missing from their catalog. In 2024, that is totally unacceptable. And I get that you guys are like, dude, you're full of hyperbole and all this other stuff. Sometimes you just gotta call things out as they are. You gotta call a spade a spade. Warner Brothers, are you guys enemies of cloud gaming? Seriously. Like whoever's there, part of it, is whoever's in charge of the gaming area, is it one of those stuck up people that sits there and says, oh no, cloud gaming has so much latency and there's so much pixel? Is that someone that demagogues cloud gaming like that doesn't know what the hell they're talking about? Is that who's running your gaming? Warner Brothers, you need to think twice about this. Especially when you got games like Suicide Squad, to where the average mainstream gamer may not even bother with it because they have so many options. You have millions of cloud gamers that would love to hop on that could probably give that game somewhat of a new pulse. Because again, if you're a cloud gamer, your availability of titles is smaller. And to have access to a game like Suicide Squad, I would see that the cloud community would gobble it up. As small as that, let's look it up right now and then we're going to get out of here. Let's look it up right now. This just makes no sense. And somebody needs to refer this to Warner Brothers and ask them what is in the coffee that they're drinking. Suicide Squad. Now, granted, the version of Suicide Squad that was given away for free was on Epic Game Store. But look, there's only 493 people in here. Let me see. Let me see if I can find Suicide Squad concurrent players. Now, it may be significantly higher, maybe a couple of thousand. On Epic Game Store. Let's see here. Epic Game Store. We're gonna look for this and then we're gonna get out of here. Epic player count, Suicide Squad, Justice League. Okay, here we go. Most played games, Epic Game Store. Let's take a look at this. Let's put this on the screen too. Let's see if Suicide Squad is even up there. It should be because it's free. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look. And in order for us to take a look, I got to show you guys the web. That's not the right web. This is the right web. Okay, here we go. So we have Fortnite, Rocket League. These are all free to play. We're looking for Suicide Squad. We're looking for you. Holy cow. Okay. How many rows is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 rows each. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Holy cow. So we're at like Suicide Squad's not even in the top 100 and it was just given away for free. So who's to say that, yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. Yeah. So who's to say, right, that this 500 that we see on Steam is probably 800 here. Probably still haven't even cracked 1,000. If this game was available to cloud gamers, they would likely double, quadruple, whatever that. Because cloud gamers, when they see these big AAA games, even though when I say big, I mean big as far as notoriety, when they see those come to the platform, they get excited and they give it way more engagement and support. Yeah, there's a problem that Warner Brothers has in regards to supporting GeForce Now. It may be on Boosteroid because of the install method, and thank goodness that Boosteroid has that. But GeForce Now they're trying to be, I guess, a little bit more conscious, agreement conscious, opposed to what Boosteroid is doing. Like when GeForce Now just made games active when they first launched in retail, that hurt the business. It hurt the business significantly. So now they're making sure that any game that goes out there, there's an agreement behind it. And I understand because, they don't want history repeating itself. So that's why they don't go with an install method. It makes perfect sense to me. That being said, it makes no sense why Warner Brothers can't say, yeah, put this game on there. Oh yeah, put this game on, you know what I'm saying? Put this game on there. That'll be great. Don't get it. And the question just looms for me. Is GeForce Now should they now be considered the enemies of cloud gaming? Interesting stuff. All right, with that said, that's it from your boy. Hey, look, guys, this was actually supposed to just be a member stream, but when we went public, I mean, when we went live, it was for the public, so that's fine. We appreciate it. It's going to go back to members until next Wednesday. All right. So from here on out, I left it that way so that way we can give you a taste of what we're offering. That being said, if you want to see this for now on, this show, Cloud Meets Mainstream, is a members only show. Or I'm sorry, a members first show for the first 7 days. And then, but we did a live session for those so people could see it. But if you want to see this more, hit that join button. If you want to be part of the live chat, hit that join button, and all that fun stuff. All right, I'm going over to MM2K Gaming. We're going to be playing some First Descendant. We're going to be talking to our members over there, so you're more than glad to join us. Go over to MM2K Gaming News. Me and Cold Blood will be chopping it up. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all, and until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.